Hello and good evening, good morning, wherever you are, everyone. My name is Umberto, and I would like to welcome you to this Follow the Camino webinar. Um, we are going to wait a couple of minutes before we start. I just wanted to welcome you all. And the webinar is quite interactive, and you have the ability to ask questions in the Q&A section. So do feel free to put the questions there. And as I will go to the presentation, I will try to answer as many of those as possible. So I hope you're nice and relaxed. You've got a nice cup of coffee. If not, take another minute to grab one, and we'll get started very soon. And just a reminder that today I'm going to be talking about walking or cycling the Camino de Santiago. Right, so it's a big topic. So we'll try to go through that well to answer your questions. But again, any question is welcome. And I can see, yeah, we have one question already. Cool. Thank you, Tanya. Cool. We're nice and relaxed. Let's get started. So welcome again. So Umberto, I'm the founder and CEO of Follow the Camino, and I will be your host tonight. And I have been organizing the Camino since 2007. So I hope I will have the answer to your questions. Meanwhile, what we're going to talk about tonight is, first of all, before we go into the walking, cycling, and some more trip-specific details, we're going to go a bit through history. I like to go through that just to give you a sense of belong into a historical journey, which the Camino is. Also, we're going to talk about what to expect in terms of terrain, difficulty, and some logistics as well in the end, and question and answers. Before I start, just so you know, Follow the Camino is the first Camino specialist, and we've been running since 2007, walking, cycling trips to the Camino, and we've recently been awarded intercultural travel awards in Europe with the Camino Portugues Coastal Way, which I opened in 2014, I think. So yeah, you're in good hands, safe hands. So go through. So enjoy the talk. We organize walking holidays and cycling with route discoveries. We know a lot about the different routes leading to Santiago. Accommodation, we organize all of these for you. Luggage transfer, bike rental, holiday park, and support. We are talking to you through the whole process. And when you engage with us, you will be allocated a specific dedicated Camino consultant that will help you plan your itinerary until you're ready to book, and then we'll do wonders and organize a magical trip for you to enjoy. A bit of history about the Camino de Santiago first. The Camino de Santiago is linked to Saint James, son of Zebedee, who was preaching Catholicism, and he went up to Galicia in the northwest of Spain, and he wasn't very successful actually. And you can see on the picture on the top right that he went back to Jerusalem and was beheaded by King Herodes II. And the legend wants that his followers put his remains on a stone boat, which was sailed out on the coast of Jerusalem, obviously, Israel, and went up to the northwest of Spain in Galicia, and that his remains were saved from sinking on the shore of Spain by scallops. So this is one of the legends on the Camino de Santiago. The pilgrimage to Santiago date from 820, when the top left picture, which is Monk Pelayo, saw so the stars showed him a place in the hills of Galicia, And he followed this stream of light and found the remains of St. James. So from that point, I suppose people created a small chapel, church, and the pilgrimage built up from there. Santiago de Compostela, Santiago in Spanish means Saint James. Santiago de Compostela, the arrival town of the pilgrimage to Santiago, means Saint James of the Fields of Stars. So the first ever pilgrimage recorded was done uh, by the king of Asturia from Oviedo, hence one of the routes called the original way in about year 1000. And the pilgrimage to Santiago was also the source of the first ever guidebook ever written, the Codex Calixtinus. And you can see a picture on the bottom left there, which basically described the route from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France to Santiago de Compostela, which is now known as the French way, although 99% is in Spain. It's called the French way because it was written by a French monk. Why the Camino de Santiago is very important in our history is because the finding of the remains of the Apostle Saint James is also linked to La Reconquista, where the church gave a plenary indulgence to all of those who would visit the tomb of Saint James. And obviously, at the time, the Moors were in control of the whole peninsula, or almost the whole peninsula in Spain, and even half of France. And you can see in the maps there on the left the eldest that as pilgrims and armies and fighters came back to pay tribute to St. James and to fight the Moors, the peninsula then was somehow freed from the Moors. Okay, so there is a very strong geopolitical link, I suppose, between the pilgrimage to St. James and the history of Spain. And if you're here and you want to embark on the Camino de Santiago, we will help you take part in this journey. Again, just to remind you that you can ask questions in the little Q&A. Please do not hesitate to put a question. I will read them and try to answer these as much as possible. So today, the Camino is very popular with nearly 500,000 people going there every year. Now, these are recordings of people reaching Santiago, meaning that some other pilgrims might do a portion of the Camino somewhere and not reach Santiago, and they wouldn't be recorded. But you can see from these statistics that the vast majority of people walk, and the French way would be the most popular, followed by the Camino Portugues. On the map, the French way would be the yellow line, and the Portuguese way would be the blue line. And I'm just going to ask you, who would like to walk the Camino, or who would like to cycle the Camino? If you can put that in the Q&A, that would be great, or in the chat. And also another question, do you already know where you would like to go? Do you have some plans already? If you can put that again, Q&A or chat, will help me to see, for those who know, I can give you more details. For those who don't know, I can help you decide. Okay, let me just have a quick look there. I can see question. Cool, I've got some. Yeah, can we get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation? So there will be a video recording. The video recording will be shared with you. Okay, we don't share the PowerPoint presentation, but the video recording has the same content. Okay. Cool. So let me continue the presentation and I will go through the question after. Okay. So script, signing up again with Follow the Camino. Script. Good evening, flexibility regarding type of accommodation. Yes, I will answer that. Walk, somebody wants to walk. Susan Gleason, to walk, but would consider a combination. Okay. So Shannon, maybe a bit of walking and cycling. I will answer that. Both. I'd like to walk. Cool. Great. Somebody Camino Portugues or Camino Coastal. Cool. We've got somebody who's on the bucket list for Eileen. Great, French way. Okay, and Diane is doing the Via della Plata. Great. I'll just stop the question there and come back. So a lot of you are more thinking about walking. Cool. Some of you cycling. And the French way, which is the most popular, seems to be mostly on the map. So what I'm going to do now, okay, I'm just going to go briefly through various routes. And describe you quickly the extent of these routes. The French way, being the most popular, is about 800 kilometers long, and you can do it in 8 sections, and you can do any combination of sections or whatever. When you're planning such a trip, things that are important to answer would be: do I want to reach Santiago on my first trip? Then how long do I have for the trip? If I have a week and I want to reach Santiago, obviously I will try to start a week away from Santiago, whether I'm walking or cycling. So this is to describe you the French route, starting in Saint-Jean on the top left terrain. So you've got a big climb crossing the Pyrenees Mountains that day, on the first day, and then winding down towards Pamplona. And you can see that there is not many challenges. So you can see that there is a big climb here around the first day, and then around day 25, there's a big climb again near Bierzo and Cruzeiro, and then around day 28, going to Ocebreiro. Okay, now this is over 800 kilometers, and there are a few days that are challenging like this. What I'm trying to communicate to you is that the Camino is very doable by anybody. Okay, however, some of the days may be more challenging, and you can see that some of the middle part on the Plateau de la Meseta is flatter, so it's a bit easier. And you can see as you go towards Galicia, on the right-hand side there, day 32, 3, 4, 5, it's a bit hilly. So you're going down towards Santiago, but you still have some hills. So there is very little flat on the Camino. Do expect some hills. And this is a map geographically underneath of the Camino. You're going westwards, starting Saint-Jean, going to Santiago. All right. Here is just to show you a bit of the terrain along the Camino. This is Puente de Arena, which is day 8 of the French way. This is what you might expect walking or cycling the Camino. A lot of the question we may have is the walking trail the same as the cycling trail? Very good question. And here's an image showing you that some people, I don't know if you can tell there, but one of the character is pushing the bike, the other is cycling because it's going a bit uphill. And you can see that this track is used by both walkers and cyclists. When you're doing the walk, you have more access to more dirt tracks, etc. When you're doing the cycle, with the guidebook we provide you with, you will be given the choice to either follow the walking track or sometimes use more tarmac roads. And you can do the choice depending on your ability and your mood. What I'm saying is that some days, if you're cycling and you are 10 kilometers away from your arrival town, and you can see the sign to your arrival town saying, let's say Sarria, 10 kilometers, and you can see the Camino veering inland towards fields, and you're on the main road, you might choose to stick to the main road, and that's okay, right? So just to give you an idea. And same way, if you are cycling on the track, sometimes you may have to push your bike because it's a bit uphill, because the terrain is a bit rough. Other picture to show you here, that would be a good walking path, and you may choose to cycle to use an alternative cycling route because that might be a bit too rough for you. Some people might be comfortable and confident to go down that dirt track. Some people might not. You are given the alternative either way, and you can choose yourself. This is just to show you a bit of tourism and an idea of what to expect. La Fontana dei Irache, so some of the touristic points, which is 3 wine fountains by this winery. So it's a nice iconic spot. Other nice, this is Astorga, a nice church. Some of the iconic places that you will see. You know, how far are you from Santiago? I don't know, but here you are, 5,000 kilometers from Jerusalem, 222 from Santiago, 2,400 from Roma. Okay, getting there. The Camino is also well signposted, and you will find some of these milestones along the way. They are not exactly every 10 kilometers or so, but they are regular. And you can see here that there is a tarmac road to the left of that milestone and a dirt track to the right. So again, here, the Camino might indicate to follow the dirt track, but if you're on the bike, you might choose to follow the tarmac road, and that's okay. Sometimes both the walking track and the main local road are side by side. Cool. Let me I'm just going to finish on the French way. If you are walking in a week, you would expect to cover about 115 kilometers in 5 days. The most popular walking route, if you have 1 week, would be Sarria to Santiago, and that's the type of terrain to expect. Nothing too challenging, but do expect the first day a climb of an hour or so, which is 300 meters ascent, something like that. And the second day, you've got an hour and a half uphill coming out of Porto Marín. When you're walking or cycling, the uphill might not be the most challenging, especially on walking. Going downhill might be a bit more challenging on the knees, etc. So that's something to be aware of. And again, this would be closer to Galicia. Same thing, that's typical. This is from Sarria to Porto Marín, dirt track, country roads, lovely and gentle landscape. It is not flat, and there is a bit of a stone. So if you're not a confident cyclist and you only want tarmac, the Camino might not be a good option. You need to be ready for a bit of a dirt track. And sometimes on the Camino, especially as you get closer to Santiago, you are walking on tertiary country roads like this. So tarmac, nice and easy. Yeah, and you're having fun on the Camino. Cool. So that was the Camino Frances. I'm just going to go through the Camino Portugues bit, and then I will have a quick look at the questions. Again, Camino Portugues is also a lovely trip. It's called the Camino Portugues because Portuguese people would follow mainly that road in ancient times. It's over 600 kilometers long. If you're walking, 27 days walking. For cycling and walking, so walking, we are recommending 20, 25 kilometers per day walking. If you're cycling, usually we will split stages into more 50 to 60 kilometers per day. All right. So usually cycling for us is double the amount of walking. I'll go a bit through that. So that's to give you an idea of the landscape in Portugal. And the last 100 kilometers from Tui to Santiago, same thing, you can see big climbs, but these climbs are actually 100 meters, 200 meters ascent. So they look big because you're starting from sea level, but they're actually hills that you're going through. And the Tui to Santiago can be walked in 5 or 6 walking days. The famous old train in Lisbon. Some of the signs. The Camino Portugues has this particular that there is signage on both directions, yellow going to Santiago and blue going to Fatima in Portugal. So depending on where you are, you will see both signage. And this is the Portuguese Coastal Way, which somebody has mentioned. And this is what it looks like. Camino Portuguese Coastal Way, it's lovely. It's somehow flatter because you're more at sea level, okay, at least for the first 5-6 days. And after you merge with the traditional Portuguese way, and you have a couple of hills like on the traditional Portuguese way. And this is the type of landscape to expect on the Portuguese Coastal Way. And you can see the signposting here. You have arrows very regularly every few hundred meters. So it's really easy to follow, and that's the last 100 kilometers of the Portuguese Coastal Way, which is relatively flat. The Portuguese Coastal Way, as you can see, is along the coast. It's lovely. Landscape is really, really nice. One thing to be aware of, though, is that if you are walking or cycling all day long along the coast, the wind is there and can be a bit tiring, because you're right next to the Atlantic Ocean. So it's just something to bear in mind. And this is some lovely landscapes you will see along the way. Cool. I'm going to skip through that Camino Inglés and I'm going to go to some questions. Cool. Somebody was talking about doing the Camino del Norte. Camino del Norte is cool. It's a bit hilly as well because you're along a more a rougher coast, so you have some steeper hill here and there, but lovely landscape as well. Really, really nice. So let me skip through that. Okay, so I'm just going to have a quick look at the questions, and then I'll go back into cycling. Walk. So some people are thinking about doing walk and bike. So one thing to be aware of is you cannot do both. What I mean is that logistically, because you are going in one direction in a linear fashion, you're not in an adventure center where today you need a bike, you get a bike, and tomorrow you don't need a bike and you leave it there. You're moving. So if you've got a bicycle and you cannot choose, oh, today it's raining, I'm going to get a bike, because we have to deliver it in advance. All right. So that's the first thing to be aware. Either you walk or you cycle. You could do 4 or 5 days cycling and 4 or 5 days walking side by side. Just be aware that there will be a collection extra for the bike wherever you're going to leave it. We can do that, but you cannot pick and choose day by day. We would have no logistical way to handle the bike randomly like this. Okay, so either or a combination of both, but not a random I pick and choose depending on how I feel that day. Walk Camino del Norte, walk but consider cycle. One thing to consider for cycling, if you're not a regular cyclist and you've never cycled for 3, 4, 5 hours, I would say that you're not really somebody who enjoys cycling. Doesn't mean that you cannot pick it up, but do not buy a cycling holiday because you believe you're going to see more. Staying 4, 5 hours on a bicycle is not something that many people enjoy. Okay, it is challenging, so be aware of that. Also, cycling coming with a bit of logistic. You may get a puncture, so you need to be able to fix a simple puncture. Like there are some mechanical things that can happen. So there are things to consider. So let me go through the question. What's the best Camino for early April? What's the best route to cycle? USS, Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, travel route and ways to get to Saint-Jean. Okay, I will answer that in a minute. What is the best time of the year to walk the Camino? Portuguese coastal route. What about navigation? Cool. Yeah, so the slides will be shared. As a video, I want to walk the Camino Santiago in a fresh way, but it feels like I miss all the cool cities. Who is that? Brenda. Yeah. Very good question. I want to walk Santiago, but I will miss out. Yeah, I suppose you have to make decisions, and you cannot have it all. So the Camino Frances is 800 kilometers, and there are lots of lovely places, of course, along the way, but you might have only a week. So, if you have a week, maybe we recommend, if you've got a week, instead of trying to fit more, to do less. Do a week of walking and enjoy that week, as opposed to trying to see more places, to be rushed anytime you go to any city. And the next day you have to move right away to visit another place, and you have to rush to take the bus or rent a car. We recommend when you are doing the Camino to take your time and to commit to something specific. And the stages we designed for you are just that, 4, 5 hours a day. And that's usually good. Some people might want to see more, but it's not something we recommend because it's a different mindset, and I don't think you will get the most out of your trip. You might see more, but it might not be the best for the experience. some cycling lane. Okay, what was I telling you? Sometimes you're cycling and you might come across this, in some rural part. Look, guys, it rarely happens, but it's countryside, so you need to be ready for that. Cycling on this type of terrain. So this is just an overview of some of the cycling route, signposting. One thing to notice on the navigation, we had a navigation, Shannon was asking about navigation. So when you book with Follow the Camino, which I encourage you to do so, because we'll do all of the hard work for you, you get walking notes, maps in PDF that you can have stored on your phone. You also get a mobile app that has the actual track you need to follow and your accommodation, so that all the points you need to see are there. We don't give other touristic informations because that's too prone to, are these places closed, or there are other places to have recommendation. But your track, your stops, and your accommodations are on the app, the essential things. You can get directions to the accommodation directly from our app, so it's done really nicely for you. And the cycling track may vary. So as we will carry your bag when you walk or follow, do you expect to walk or cycle with a small backpack like this? All right. Some other places. So this is Vigo. So if you are interested in any of this trip or have questions, do contact info@followthecamino.com. All right. We will get in touch with you personally and talk about your specific needs and do a specific itinerary for you. While here, I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible quickly. It is much better to have a specialist Camino consultant. Our guys love what they do, guys. We love doing organizing trips. You can see the reviews. We do a really, really good job. So do get in touch, info@followthecamino.com, or by phone, and we'll get back to you. Let me continue on the questions. And this is Astorga, which is a Gaudi designed architecture church. So here we are 150 kilometers from Santiago. Lovely scenery. Okay. On the bike, so what type of bikes we rent? If you are cycling, we rent 27 gears, aluminum frames, regular bikes with hydraulic forks. We are also able to rent, or not the hybrid bikes, but the other bikes, kind of hybrid bikes, or e-bikes as well. Okay. And that's it. You can see here, I just want to show you guys the flavor, what you would see, the type of tracks, the signage, so that you can see that it's really, really nice. In Portugal. Okay, let me go to some questions. I know there is a hand raised. Okay, it would be great if you put the question in the Q&A. It would be great. How many days to do San Sebastian to Bilbao? San Sebastian to Bilbao walking would be, I think, a week. Okay. Again, if you go to followthecamino.com, if you choose the different Camino routes, you will have the specific itinerary. Okay. Camino Portugues Coastal for Robert. That's cool. Walk. So, good question. Suzanne wants to leave from Porto mid-April. Which route do I recommend? Coastal or central? Cool. Apple or pears, I would say. Chocolate cake or strawberry cake. So what I would say, guys, is we like to help you make the decision, but you make the decision. They are both lovely. They are different. On the coast, obviously, you're by the sea and it's unique. Maybe after your walk or your cycle, you can go and have a dip. On the Portuguese traditional way, inland, you won't have that, but you will have lovely landscape. Okay. My favorite, personally, is the Portuguese coastal way, but that's me. What I would say is, whenever you're planning, go to our website, followthecamino.com, and try to browse the trips. I want you to look at pictures, to look at the map. All of this information is there to help you make the decisions. No matter what, whether you choose the Portuguese coastal way or the traditional Portuguese way, you won't go wrong either way. You'll have a great time. It's just maybe there is one trip that attracts your attention more than the other, and that's fine. That's fair. Okay. Are all the businesses open in April on the Portuguese route? Yes, the Portuguese route is open. Most of the Camino. I am not planning on having a cell phone during the walk. It to be an issue. Okay, so if you have no phone on the Camino, it's okay. Suppose if you book with us, we'll give you walking notes and maps, so you have that. Plus, the Camino is very well signposted, so you should be fine. Yeah. If you are worried about um, international credit, if you book with us, we'll give you access to some international eSIM cards that would be very reasonable for $10 or $20. You would get enough to last a week or two on the Camino. So yeah. So here's just a point. The Camino cycling, as I said earlier, is not for everybody. If you've never cycled 3 or 4 hours, I would not recommend it for you. Similarly, if you are a weekend race cyclist, the Camino is more so on tracks, and we don't recommend to do more than 60, 80 kilometers. I know some people might cycle very fast at the weekend, and we could organize it technically. However, the Camino being on dirt tracks is a bit of a slower pace. You don't want to pass by each of these new places for you and just pass by. You might want to stop and have a coffee, have a beer, a glass of wine, or I don't know what. You might want to take a few pictures. So do not mix quantity of kilometers, mileage with quality. This is really what we at Follow the Camino want to encourage people to do, right? So the kind of bikes, I'll answer your question, Christina. We can do mountain bike or gravel bikes. That's the bike type I was looking for, or e-bikes, either of these three. We don't do racer bikes because on dirt tracks with the small tires, they're not very good. Hence, the gravel bikes would be the closest to racing bikes. For the best place for Jerry, best place to start the Camino del Norte, again, it depends how long you have to. There is no best place. Bilbao is great. San Sebastian is great. Santander is great. It depends how long do you have for the trip, and do you want to reach Santiago? Okay, that's the type of bike we'll rent. That would be cool. When you are cycling the Camino, things to know is you can see here that they are flat, and can you see the uphill track going up there? So cycling is a bit challenging. Walking as well, by the way, it's not that easy, but you need to take your time, and you might have to push your bike uphill there. This is again to show you a bit of the signposting. I've had a few questions on when is the best time to walk the Camino, and I will answer these as well. This is to give you an idea as well of how the Camino is. You can see that sometimes you're never too far from main roads, and sometimes you can see the village you're going to. So this cycling from the point of that cyclist to that village, it is 30 minutes or so. If you are walking, it's more an hour and a half, something like that. So just to be aware of that. When we book the Camino cycling, we will provide you with a helmet, gel saddle, water bottle holder, pannier rack, repair kit, and we have breakdown insurance as well. So that's it. Here's somebody I know. Okay, I cycled from Sahagún to Santiago a few years ago, and so that's it. That's one thing to notice as well. When you are cycling the Camino, it's not as sociable. Cycling together is more challenging than walking together. If you're walking, I would recommend if you are a couple or if you want to have more interaction, walking, you will create a lot more interaction with people than if you're cycling. Okay, so just be aware of that. This is the type of things you may want to consider. What to expect if you travel with us? Connect with nature. All right, You take your time. We'll help you prepare the right itinerary, not too much, not too little. Um, and then you can chill, relax, enjoy, make friends. Uh, as you walk, more so when you walk more than cycling, you will meet, you will come across the same people day after day. Because when you are walking, we're all roughly at the same pace, more or less. Um, so you might see this person you heard that comes from your home country day by day, and you will start a conversation and create friends. Really. So that's something really important. When you're cycling, less so because obviously cycling is faster. You're not going to cycle side by side with walkers. I mean, it's not very practical. So it's just something to be aware of. Eat local food, especially as you get towards Galicia and Santiago. There are lots of seafood specialties, but there is also a lot of cured meats and lovely vegetables and so on. There were some questions about accommodations. Um, and Eileen, yes, the chat is recorded and we'll share the recording with you. Let me go through the question. Do you recommend the use of hiking poles? Yeah, I will answer the hiking poles question after. As default, our holidays are in hotels and rural houses, which is the bottom left picture there. Okay, so that's comfort, 2-3 star accommodation all the way. We prefer that, and our clients love this. However, if you're a bit more on a tighter budget, we can go for pensions, which are slightly less comfortable, the top right picture, or even hostels on some of the routes, top left picture. Same thing, there are some upgrades available in some cities, such as the Parador in Santiago. One thing to be aware of is that as you are moving every day from town to town, we cannot have 3 star every day in the same 3 star. And thankfully, it is not a chain type of holidays. So in all of our packages, we guarantee you an average rating of 8 on each package, average for your accommodation, on an average of 8 on the recommendation platforms. Okay, so sometimes you might be at 7.5, sometimes at 8.59. Okay, but we make sure that you have a good quality package throughout. So some of the accommodations you can see, we have Hotel Lux in Santiago. We have also 2-star hotel in Porto Marin. So, and we choose our hotel not only based on stars, but also the friendliness of staff and the location. There is no point for us to have you in a 4-star hotel in a big city near the convention center and you have 2 or 3 or 4 kilometers to go to the city center. So we might prefer a nice 2-star next to the pedestrian street where you can go and experience food and have fun. Cool, training. So we'll send you a training program which basically encourage you to go out. It's important before you go on a walking holiday or cycling to experience being out for 3-4 hours on your own. Because walking the dog, which might be an hour a day, it's good, but walking 3-4-5 hours someday with some hills, it's even can be a bit challenging, especially if you go day after day, especially if maybe some of the days are hotter or wetter or colder. So that's something which we find very important. You will enjoy it more if you are prepared. And remember that, especially walking, it's not a physical challenge. Everybody can do it. However, you need to be prepared mentally, just because walking 4 or 5 hours in any day is tiring for anybody. So the more you are prepared mentally, the more resilient you will be on your trip. So when is the best time to go? May, June, and September would be the best time to go on most of the trips. Again, for more specific information, either you go to followthecamino.com. On any trip, you will have the best time to go calendar there, okay? Or you can talk to one of our Camino consultants. Contact info@followthecamino.com, and we'll get back to you. And we'd like to talk to you because some people might have something in mind. Oh, I really want to have people around. Do you know what? I prefer something quieter. And by talking to you, it will help us help you make the right decision and have the really good trip for you. Yeah, so our Camino web pages have all of the information. So you can see we have the weather forecast for each of the trips per month. Okay, so fire away, guys. We worked very hard to give you all of this amazing information. So do go on to trip pages, weather forecast is there, and share this with your friends and family. It's great, and also the best time to go. I was asked if it's good to bring hiking poles. So also when you book with us, you'll have the packing list for your trip, and basically depends whether uh, we're carrying the luggage for your booking or if you're carrying your the whole thing. And but the list is similar. It's just the amount of stuff you bring. Um, if you're carrying all of your gear, we recommend you to stick it to 7-8 kilos max. So that's not a lot. Obviously, if we're carrying your bag, we allow you 15 kilos per person. So, and one bag per person. That's something to be aware of. With regards to walking poles, it's actually a question of choice. So same thing, if you train well and you go out on the hills next to home at the weekend, maybe one of your training walks, ask walking poles from a friend of yours or try them. Walking poles will um, relieve some of your weight because you've got another point, and will also increase and enhance your stability, especially when you're going downhill on dirt tracks. But as a general rule, it is not necessary on the Camino. You'll be fine without, but it is a good help, especially if you love walking with them. But the best way to know is walk with them beforehand just to see how you feel about them. Okay, cool. Is there more question? I'm just going to go through the question and then, oops. Sleep accommodation, what costs are involved? So the sleeping accommodation, I went through that. Usually we book 2- and 3-star accommodations. Regarding cost, count about 110, 120 euros per day walking, something like that. Usually we are on half board, breakfast and dinner, except the first night and last night. The reason for that is because first night and last night usually are in bigger towns, and we want you to go out and experience things. And when you're going to the smaller villages, we add the dinner. However, when you're talking to your Camino consultant, you can remove the dinners. If you prefer to go there on B&B basis, that's not an issue at all. We are completely flexible. Same thing, if you want to add extra nights here and there, we can do that, no problem. So hiking pole went through that. Important going to the central route. So you could walk from the coast of the Camino Portuguese Way, and you will link up with the regular Portuguese Way in Redondela. So that's after Vigo. So if you want to connect beforehand, you would have to take a bus. It's not a route walked, so doable, but not done very often. Yeah, so how close are our hotels from the route? Most of our hotels are on the route, okay? And we give you the distance between the actual point in the city and the route, so that you know that on the voucher. If the accommodation is off the Camino route, which does happen, sometimes we like to use some lovely guest houses. Here, a transfer will be included, and you don't have to pay for that. Okay, and the transfer, you might have to ring the accommodation provider, and they will come and pick you up within 20 minutes. Remember, if we do that, is either because there is no accommodation suitable in the place, or we really like that place and they do fantastic food or something like this. So that's the type of things we do to give you the best experience. But on a 6-7 days journey, you might have that once in the trip, twice maximum. You will not have transfers every day. Can you share more about how you help people train for the walk? Do you provide a plan? Exactly. So we provide a plan. As soon as you book with us in your customer area, you will have the plan there for download, but it is easy. We're just telling you, go and walk as much as possible. Walk 1 hour twice a week. walk 4 hours at the weekend once. If you can walk twice, it's great. But you need to get out, and for that, we recommend you, for example, stop 3 bus stops before home and just walk the rest of the time on your own. Or if you have to go for milk on the Sunday morning, instead of taking the car and coming back, maybe walk there. Anything will help. Is it safe to walk the Camino along, Cindy? Thanks, that's a very good question. So the Camino is very safe, all right? Um, um, you have a sense of community along the Camino. You don't have to walk alone, etc. On the Camino Frances, Camino Portugues, there are other walkers. You're never too far from a main road. So it is as safe as walking in the countryside near home, I suppose. And part of the holiday pack, we're actually also giving you some tips on how, if you feel the need, you can download a Spanish police app with warning buttons, etc. It is something they have launched. But the Camino, the vast majority is very, very safe as walking in the countryside near home. It is not less safe than that. But very good question. So we have Michel trying to go from the States to Saint-Jean, no problem. Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port is the start of the French way. One of the good options might be to travel from the USA to Paris and then take a high-speed train, TGV, from Paris to Biarritz, and then another local train to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. Okay, it is 700 kilometers off flight connections. If you're looking for how to get there on any of the trips, if you go to our website, followthecamino.com, at the bottom of each trip, we have a how to get there section, and there you will find more details. Yeah, so the spiritual route for Jim or the Portuguese way, we offer that as well. Same thing, contact one of our Camino consultant and ask them about the spiritual route, and we can organize that for you, no problem. So Christina, about a medical emergency. So we are a tour operator, and as such, we organize your holiday. However, we're not an ambulance service. So what we'll do is that we'll give you in the part of your holiday pack the emergency service phone number, which is 999 or 112 in Europe, and then you'll be handled there. We do have, however, a 24 hours, 7 days a week service support. Maybe you've got too many blisters and tomorrow you cannot walk. Call us, we'll find solution for you. Usually you arrive at the reception, maybe the reservation, the receptionist cannot find your booking. Maybe it's because the booking was made under your partner's name, therefore the receptionist cannot find it. So there are things like this, we help you all along, okay? But for medical emergency, that would be dealt with ambulance services. Also, along the Camino de Santiago, in most cafe and restaurants, they have taxi number or talk to the people. There is no way we would supersede the medical services. If you fall and have a twisted ankle, if you ring us, we could call a taxi to bring you. But if it is a real medical emergency, that's ambulance service. This is where you get the best care. But usually, if you've got a twisted ankle, you call us and you can walk for another kilometer. We'll check the map. Where are you? Where's the next stop? We might direct you there. But again, we do not supersede the medical care. Well, a couple of instances that have us walking on busy expressway. Okay. Yeah, so question, Stacy saying that sometimes we're walking along a busy road, and that's true. So the Camino is lovely, but as you come in and out of bigger cities, maybe the arrivals and exit of bigger cities is not as nice, and you might be beside busy road. And that's just, as you can understand, just the making of the city, where the main access roads are the most direct way to go in and out of the cities, and then the walking path will follow that, as opposed to winding around neighborhood. So it is true that some of these are not great, but Local authorities are trying to improve that. For example, on the Portuguese way, the arrival to Pontevedra has changed. They now have an alternative route via a small stream, which is better. But that's really is a local infrastructure topic, and I suppose the local services are doing their best to improve that. What is the best, most affordable way to get to Sarria? Well, it depends for where, but from Santiago Airport, there is a bus service that costs 15 euros. You're going from Santiago Airport to Lugo and Lugo to Sarria. That's for you, Brenda. Okay, so Stacy, well, I'm not sure about the details. Usually, obviously we have the map and the accommodation on the map. On each of your voucher, part of your holiday pack, you'll have a map with the accommodation on it. So after either you go Google direction or you can see how far you are from the Camino and you can make your way down there. So either way, between the mobile app, the voucher with the map, you have the information to get your accommodation. Cool. So just so you know, Follow the Camino is a B Corp, okay? So we are big into sustainability and we scored 89.1, which is very, very good. So when you travel with us, the carbon offset of your trip, the carbon emission of your trip, not your flights, but your trip is offset with gold standard carbon offset credit. So that's for you, okay? It's very important. We have the 5 first booking from this webinar will get a free airport transfer to a value of up to 250 euros. Okay, how about that? So do contact info@followthecamino.com. We're still online for another 2 hours today or tomorrow, but first 5 bookings only. And we have a special gift for you all. It's a 12% discount. Okay, so if you mention that you assisted to this webinar, you will benefit from it and have maybe a lovely Christmas present. I'm going to answer the last few questions, and then we'll close off. Are there any single supplement for accommodation? Yes. On all hotel accommodation, there is a single supplement, which is whatever, maybe 160 euros, 200 euros, depends on the length of the trip and which trip, but there will be a single supplement. Any more questions, guys? Otherwise, it was lovely to have you all with me tonight or today, whatever time it is with you. We at Follow the Camino pride ourselves for giving great service. We like what we do. We like talking to our clients and make them have a great trip. Check our reviews online, Google reviews, TripAdvisors, and speaks for itself. We do look after you from start to finish, and hope to organize something for you. Thank you all for thanking me. Really appreciate that. Shout out to Clara. Clara is brilliant. I'm meeting her next week in Santiago. So thanks, Diane. What was the discount percent? If we book, it's 12%. Thank you, Christina. You're welcome. And thanks again. info@followthecamino.com. You've got all of our phone numbers. I'll stay here for another minute. Other than that, we'll share the video with you guys afterwards. Yeah, looking forward to organizing your trip. Thank you very much.